The asteroid colony of Vierex Station hung like a lonely speck in the vast darkness of space. Jagged rocks floated around it, remnants of destroyed planets and forgotten wars. The colony was small, made mostly of metal shacks and old mining equipment, but it was home to hundreds of miners, engineers, and scavengers. Life here was harsh. Supplies were scarce and pirate raids were a constant threat. Among the residents of Vierex Station was Captain Rhea Torin, a woman with sharp eyes and hands that seemed to understand machines better than people. She had once served in a distant military fleet, but a betrayal had forced her to leave and seek refuge in the outer systems. Now she was a leader in her own right, respected not because of rank, but because she could make impossible things happen. Rhea stood on the observation deck of the colony's command hub, looking out at the debris field surrounding the station. Broken ships, ruined satellites, and chunks of metal floated in eerie silence. Most people saw junk, danger, and useless scrap, but Rhea saw possibility. "Rhea," called Jax, her second in command, snapping her out of her thoughts. He was a tall man with grease-stained hands and a mischievous grin. "You're staring again, planning to invent something that explodes." She turned and smiled faintly. "Not explode. Defend. And maybe show the galaxy that even scrap can become more than scrap." Jax raised an eyebrow. Bold words for someone standing on a rock spinning in the void. Rhea didn't answer immediately. She had already made up her mind. The pirates who terrorized Vierex Station were not going to stop. The corporate fleets that claimed the systems beyond had no mercy. The colony was defenseless, but what if they didn't have to be? What if, with enough ingenuity, they could build something the galaxy had never seen? A ship that could stand against anyone, even entire fleets. Her mind wandered to the wrecked alien cruiser she had discovered earlier that week while scavenging the debris field. It was unlike anything humans had built. Sleek lines, strange alloys, and engines that seemed powered by energy she had never seen. Most people would have left it thinking it useless, but Rhea had studied it carefully. She could see the skeleton, the structure beneath the damage, and she felt a spark of excitement. "We could use it," she whispered to herself. "We could make it ours." Later that day, Rhea gathered her crew in the main workshop. The room was cluttered with tools, broken engines, and half-finished projects. Sparks flew from welding torches and the smell of burnt metal filled the air. "Listen up," she began, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We have been surviving on scraps, hiding from pirates and praying someone stronger comes to save us. That ends now." The crew exchanged puzzled glances. Tira, the ship's engineer, crossed her arms. "Ends how?" "We barely have enough supplies to keep the station running, Rhea. And you want to build a warship?" "Yes," Rhea said firmly. "Not just any warship. The galaxy's most feared warship. And we're going to build it from what we have. Scrap, broken parts, and ingenuity. It won't be easy. It might even be dangerous. But it's the only way we survive." For a moment, silence fell over the room. Then slowly nods appeared. They had seen Rhea do impossible things before. They trusted her. "Where do we start?" asked Kel, a former miner with a knack for structural engineering. Rhea smiled. "The alien cruiser. It's our foundation. Everything else comes from the scrap we have. Every piece of metal, every damaged engine, every discarded weapon is a part of this. We turn junk into a fortress that moves." The weeks that followed were grueling. The crew worked in shifts, scavenging through debris fields, melting down metal, and repurposing alien technology. Rhea stayed at the heart of the operation, guiding, instructing, and inspiring. There were moments of despair. Engines wouldn't fit, weapons misfired, and parts broke under stress. But every small success, every piece that worked, fueled their determination. One night, as Rhea examined a nearly finished hull section, Jax approached her quietly. "Do you ever think we're being foolish? That maybe this is too big for us?" Rhea didn't look up. "Foolish? Maybe impossible. Not yet. Look at us. Look at what we've already done. This ship, it will be more than metal and engines. It will be proof that humans can create the impossible, and proof they would need." As the hull grew, strange things began to happen. The colony felt safer, but also rumors spread. Distant scouts reported seeing a strange silhouette moving among the debris fields. Other scavengers whispered about the ghost ship that was coming to life. Then the first real test came. A small band of pirates, curious and greedy, ventured too close to Vierex Station. The crew, guided by Rhea, used the partially completed warship as a trap. Engines hidden under layers of scrap roared to life. Turrets crafted from salvaged weapons fired with precision, and the pirates were driven away in confusion and fear. It was imperfect. The ship groaned under stress, systems sparked and hummed erratically, but it worked. The crew cheered, exhausted but exhilarated. Tira laughed and slapped a piece of metal. Rhea, this is insane. And brilliant. I don't know how you do it. Rhea smiled, looking at the warship rising from what had been nothing but scrap. Ingenuity, loyalty, and a refusal to give up. That's how we do it. One day the galaxy will know our names. One day no one will dare challenge us. Jax rested a hand on her shoulder. And until then? Until then, Rhea said, her eyes glowing with determination, we build. We fight, and we turn scrap into a legend. The night fell over Vierex Station. The asteroid field shimmered in distant starlight, broken fragments of ships floating silently. But among them a new shape began to emerge. A ship unlike any other, a patchwork of human ingenuity and alien technology. It seemed almost alive, ready to take its place in the galaxy. And so, from the dust of forgotten battles and the refuse of the stars, the dream began. The dream of a warship built from scrap, a ship that would one day strike fear into the hearts of the galaxy's most powerful forces. And at its heart was Rhea Torren, leading a crew of misfits with courage, skill, and a vision that no one could yet comprehend. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. The alien cruiser, once a broken shell floating in the cold of space, now stood as the skeleton of a dream. Every bolt, panel, and engine piece told a story of human determination. Yet the work had only begun. The crew of Vierex Station faced challenges that tested both their skill and their patience. Captain Rhea Torren moved among the workers in the main workshop, her eyes scanning every detail. Sparks flew as welders fused alien alloys to human-made metal. Hissing air and clanging tools created a chaotic symphony, but Rhea thrived in it. She had always loved the smell of molten metal, the feeling of bending impossible shapes into what they could be. Tira, status report, Rhea called. Tira wiped sweat from her brow. The shield generators are almost ready, but the energy matrix is unstable. It could overload if we push it too far. Rhea nodded. Then we reinforce the containment fields and run a test tonight. We can't let fear slow us down. Every system has to be perfect or we fail. Engineers, miners, and scavengers work together, each contributing their unique skills. Kel, the structural genius, examined the hull's integrity. We can't use standard reinforcements here. The alien alloys are lighter but unpredictable. We have to support them with our own materials. Carefully calculated or the whole thing collapses under stress. Jax grinned from across the room. Nothing about this project is simple, huh? Rhea smiled faintly. If it were simple, anyone could do it. We're not building a ship. We're building a legend. The days blurred into nights. The crew scavenged the debris fields tirelessly, searching for engines, weapons, and rare materials. Each discovery sparked excitement and new challenges. A broken plasma cannon had to be rewired to human controls. Alien sensors needed translation. Damaged warp engines required improvisation with salvaged cores. Every step demanded creativity and patience, yet progress came slowly. Systems failed during tests, materials fractured under stress, and disagreements flared among the crew. Tira and Kel argued over energy allocation. Jax clashed with miners over how to reinforce the hull. Even Rhea had moments of doubt. The galaxy's most feared warship seemed like a dream far beyond their reach. One evening, after a day of repeated failures, Rhea stood alone in the observation deck, staring at the stars. Her hands rested on the railing and her mind raced with calculations, strategies, and possibilities. We can do this, she whispered to herself. We have to do this. A sudden alert broke her focus. A small pirate scouting vessel had been detected near the outer rim of the asteroid field. Normally they were cautious, but this one had ventured too close. The crew rushed to prepare the partially completed ship for action. Though the ship was not yet fully functional, Rhea saw this as an opportunity. We test it in battle, she said calmly. Not for glory, but for survival. Tira hesitated. It's not ready. Systems are half-built. Weapons are unreliable. Rhea's gaze was steady. Then we adapt. That's what humans do. We don't wait for perfection. We make the impossible work. The ship's engines roared to life, groaning as energy surged through hybrid alien-human circuits. The hull shimmered under the faint light of the stars. a patchwork of metal and ingenuity. The pirate vessel, expecting easy prey, found itself facing a craft unlike any they had ever seen. Rhea commanded the ship with precision. Focus fire on their engines. Shields up, evasive maneuvers on my mark. Turrets cobbled together from salvaged weapons fired with surprising accuracy. Alien sensors, adapted to human programming, detected weak points and targeted them flawlessly. The pirate vessel scrambled, unable to anticipate the strange combination of old and new technology. By the time the pirates retreated, the crew was exhausted but exhilarated. The partially built ship had survived its first engagement, proving that ingenuity and courage could rival numbers and experience. The victory brought renewed energy to the workshop. Tira clapped Rhea on the shoulder. Okay, I admit it. This is insane and brilliant, Rhea smiled. Every system we build, every piece we salvage is a step toward something greater. We're learning, adapting, and improving. That's what makes us stronger. Over the next weeks, the crew focused on refining the ship. They reinforced the hull, stabilized the engines, and integrated more alien technology into human systems. Every challenge forced them to innovate. One morning, Kel presented a problem. The energy matrix for the shield generators is unstable. We need a new method of containment or the entire system could fail in combat. Rhea studied the problem. We'll use a series of secondary circuits and redundant energy conduits. It will take time, but it will work. Nothing this ship faces can match human ingenuity when we put our minds to it. Meanwhile, Jax and the miners devised a clever method to convert scrap metal into additional armor plating. They used overlapping layers to create a flexible but strong defense, turning ordinary metal into something extraordinary. Every crew member began to see the ship not just as a vessel, but as a symbol of what they could achieve. Their differences, backgrounds, skills, and even personal grudges, faded in the face of a shared purpose. Even small victories mattered. A repaired communications array allowed them to intercept pirate transmissions. A makeshift cloaking device scavenged from alien parts let them hide from patrols. Each success inspired the crew to push further, think bigger, and take risks others would avoid. But progress came with tension. Some crew members worried about attracting attention. The galaxy was full of powerful factions who would not tolerate a new force rising in their territories. The partially built warship was becoming a beacon, and potentially a target. One evening, while the crew slept, Rhea reviewed star charts and debris maps. She calculated the potential paths of patrol fleets and pirate gangs. We must finish this ship quickly, she muttered. Every day we delay, we risk discovery. But every day we build, we gain strength. The next morning, Tira approached her with a prototype weapon system. This is experimental, but it could give us an edge. It's unstable, but powerful. Are you willing to risk it? Rhea examined it carefully. Every weapon on this ship is a risk. But without risk, there is no victory. Integrate it. Let's see what human ingenuity can do with alien technology. As the days passed, the ship took shape. Hull panels gleamed in patches of repaired metal. Engines hummed with a strange but steady rhythm. Weapons, once broken and useless, now waited to unleash their fury. The crew's determination was tested again when a rival scavenger group attempted to claim the alien cruiser for themselves. A tense standoff erupted near the asteroid field. The partially completed warship, though not fully ready, became the center of the conflict. Rhea directed the crew with precision, using every trick, every advantage they had discovered. The rival group was forced to retreat, astonished by the ingenuity and coordination of what they thought was a ragtag team. The victory was small but meaningful. It proved that even a ship built from scraps could intimidate and overcome those who underestimated it. At the end of that day, the crew gathered to inspect their work. The ship stood before them, still incomplete but more formidable than any of them had imagined at the beginning. Rhea placed a hand on the hull. This is more than metal and circuits. It is proof of what humans can do. Every challenge we face, every problem we solve, makes this ship stronger. And one day, when it is complete, it will not just defend us. It will change the way the galaxy sees us. Jax grinned. A warship built from scrap. Who would believe it? Those who witness it, Rhea replied, her eyes shining with determination. And those who dare challenge it will learn the hard way. As night fell over the asteroid field, the ship seemed to pulse with life, a hybrid of human ingenuity and alien design. It was imperfect, noisy, and full of quirks, but it was theirs. And it was only the beginning. From the chaos of scrap and the brilliance of human creativity, something remarkable had been born. A warship that could inspire fear, demand respect, and protect a colony that the galaxy had long forgotten. And in the heart of it all, Captain Rhea Torin and her crew worked tirelessly, driven by one simple truth. Even the smallest spark of imagination, when combined with courage and determination, could ignite a force that could shake the stars themselves. The galaxy had not yet seen what humans could create from nothing, but soon they would. The asteroid field around Vierex Station glittered under distant starlight, hiding the colony and the warship slowly taking shape among the debris. The partially completed vessel, though unfinished, had become the heart of hope for the colony. Every member of the crew had poured their skills, sweat, and courage into it, yet none had imagined that its first true test would come so soon. Early one morning, alarms blared across the station. Rhea, already awake, rushed to the command hub. "Report," she demanded. Jax's face was pale. "Pirates, a full fleet. They're approaching fast. Scanners show at least a dozen ships, heavily armed. They've discovered us." Rhea's jaw tightened. "Then we fight. This is what we've built the ship for. Get the crew ready. Systems online, weapons tested, shields at maximum." The crew moved like a single organism. Engineers scrambled to complete last-minute repairs. Welders reinforced weak hull sections. Tira and her team adjusted weapon calibrations to optimize targeting. Even though some systems were still unstable, "Captain," said Kel, pointing at the main screen, "we're outnumbered, 10-1, and some of their ships are larger and faster than ours." Rhea's eyes narrowed. "Numbers don't win battles. Tactics, intelligence, and courage do. We've turned scrap into a weapon. That's more than they expected." The first pirate vessel entered the asteroid field. Its engines burned bright, cutting through the darkness. Its captain had expected easy prey, a colony vulnerable and isolated. But they hadn't anticipated the human crew of Vierex Station, nor the patchwork warship rising from the debris. Rhea gave the order. "Initiate evasive maneuvers. Target the lead ship. Fire when ready." The ship groaned as energy surged through its hybrid systems. The engines, patched together from alien and human technology, roared with unexpected power. Shields flickered to life, sending arcs of blue energy across the hull. Turrets, repurposed from old mining lasers and alien cannons, pivoted with precision. The first volley of laser fire struck the pirate fleet. A small ship, confident in its speed and size, was shredded before it could react. Explosions lit the darkness, scattering debris in every direction. The crew cheered, but there was no time to celebrate. More ships were approaching, faster and smarter than the first. Rhea's mind raced. Divide their formation, lure the largest vessel into the asteroid belt, use the debris to our advantage. Jax nodded, piloting one of the auxiliary craft with skill. The pirate ships, expecting a simple fight, were caught off guard by the unconventional tactics. Smaller vessels were driven into collisions with asteroids, while the larger ships struggled to keep formation. The partially completed warship took hits. Hull plating cracked and sparks flew from damaged conduits. The energy shields flickered dangerously, but Rhea and her crew adapted. They rerouted power from non-essential systems to reinforce shields. Turrets fired in rapid succession, exploiting every weakness in the enemy's formation. Amid the chaos, Tira focused on the experimental weapons. One of her improvised plasma cannons had never been tested in combat. She calibrated it carefully, taking a deep breath. "Here goes nothing," she muttered. The weapon discharged a brilliant bolt of energy, striking the lead pirate ship's engine core. The vessel spun uncontrollably, colliding with an asteroid and exploding in a dazzling display. The victory, though small, ignited hope among the crew. They had survived their first real battle, proving that human ingenuity and courage could challenge even larger and more experienced forces. Rhea's voice echoed across the ship. "Keep pushing. Don't let them regroup. We fight as one." Kel manipulated the ship's structural systems, using hydraulic mechanisms to adjust armor plates in real time. The hull shifted subtly, absorbing impacts and minimizing damage. It was a risky move, but it allowed the ship to withstand the onslaught longer than any pirate had expected. Jax led a squadron of miners turned fighters, maneuvering through the battlefield with nimbleness and cunning. They struck at weak points, then vanished behind asteroid cover. Each attack disrupted the enemy formation, buying precious time for the main vessel. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. The pirate fleet, stunned by the unconventional tactics and the ship's resilience, began to falter. Communications revealed confusion among their ranks. Their larger ships, designed for direct combat, struggled to adapt to the hybrid human-alien vessel's unpredictable moves. Rhea's heart pounded. She had expected this to be dangerous, but not like this. Yet every decision, every risk, had paid off. The crew's skill, their trust in one another, and their willingness to innovate turned the tide. A sudden explosion rocked the ship. One of the pirate vessels had fired a missile that breached the outer hull. Sparks rained down in the control room. Crew members shouted, dashing to contain the damage. Rhea's eyes scanned the readouts, calculating solutions instantly. Divert auxiliary power to shields. Tira, fire plasma cannons at the approaching group. Jax, flank them from the right. Use the asteroids as cover. Commands were followed without hesitation. The crew had trained for this, but the intensity of real combat pushed them beyond anything they had imagined. The warship shuddered, creaked, and groaned, but it endured. Finally, the largest pirate vessel, a monstrous cruiser, faced the warship head-on. Its weapons glowed with lethal intent. But Rhea was ready. Engage experimental systems. Target weak points in their hull. All power to weapons and shields. A concentrated barrage struck the pirate cruiser. Hull panels buckled, engines failed, and the massive ship began to drift uncontrollably. The hybrid weapons, unpredictable and powerful, tore through systems designed to withstand conventional fire. The pirate crew scrambled, unable to respond to the innovative attacks. One by one, their ships fell, colliding with asteroids or exploding under concentrated fire. Within hours, the fleet was in ruins. The partially completed warship had survived, victorious against overwhelming odds. The crew erupted in cheers, exhaustion mixing with exhilaration. They had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. Tira laughed, clapping Rhea on the back. I still can't believe we did it. That ship, it's alive. Rhea smiled, though her eyes were already scanning the stars. It's not alive, not yet. But it has the heart of humans behind it, and that's stronger than anything out there. Kel approached, a wide grin on his face. We've proven it works. Even unfinished, we're a force to be reckoned with. Imagine what the completed ship could do. Jax leaned against the control panel, wiping sweat from his brow. If word of this spreads, no one will dare attack Vierex Station again. Rhea shook her head. They will come, and when they do, we'll be ready. This victory is just the beginning. We've learned, adapted, and grown stronger. But the galaxy is vast, and not all threats can be predicted. The sun rose over the asteroid field, casting long shadows across the colony. Debris from the battle floated silently in the void. A testament to human ingenuity and courage, the crew gathered on the observation deck, staring at the stars with pride and determination. This is only the first test, Rhea said quietly. The galaxy has yet to see the full power of what we can build. But now we know. Even with scraps, even with limitations, we can create something that can challenge anyone. That is the true strength of humanity. As the crew returned to the workshop, ready to continue building and refining, a faint message flickered across the communication array. It was a warning from a distant system. A powerful warlord had taken notice of the battle. Rhea read the message silently, her expression unreadable. Then we prepare, she said finally. The real test is coming. And this time it won't be just a fleet of pirates. It will be the galaxy itself. But the crew did not falter. They had faced death and chaos and emerged victorious. The ship, their creation, was no longer just a dream. It was a symbol of human ingenuity, courage, and unity. And from the ashes of their first battle, The spark of legend had been born. The galaxy had glimpsed the power of humans who refused to accept limits, and it would not forget. Vierex Station had barely recovered from its first victory when the message arrived. The warning was clear. A powerful warlord from the neighboring systems had taken notice of the colony's partially completed warship. His fleets were massive, armed with advanced technology and ruthless in their conquest. The humans of Vierex Station were no longer just an isolated colony. They were now a threat. Captain Rhea Torin gathered her crew in the main workshop, the partially completed warship looming behind her like a promise. Every crew member knew the stakes. This was no longer a test. This was survival. "We faced pirates," Rhea began, her voice steady and commanding. "We've adapted and won. But now we face a true challenge. A warlord with fleets designed to crush worlds. We are outnumbered, outgunned, and underestimated. But we are not powerless. Not if we think, adapt, and fight as one." Tira, still exhausted from the last battle, clenched her fists. "We're not ready for this. Our systems are experimental, some still unstable. If we go up against his fleet, we could be destroyed." Rhea's eyes softened for a moment, then hardened with resolve. "Then we finish what we started. We improve the ship, strengthen its systems, and prepare strategies that no one could anticipate. The galaxy underestimates humans. That is our greatest advantage." The next days were filled with relentless work. Engineers and miners worked side by side, reinforcing the hull with layers of scavenged armor. Tira focused on stabilizing experimental energy weapons, adjusting conduits and containment fields. Every failure became a lesson, every success a building block for the final ship. Kel examined the structural integrity constantly. If we redirect energy to the hull dynamically during battle, it could absorb impacts better than any standard armor. "Do it," Rhea said. "Anything that can save lives and give us an edge, we do it. Nothing is too risky if it means survival." Jax and a small squadron of pilots tested new maneuvers, flying the ship through asteroid fields and simulated combat scenarios. They practiced evasive maneuvers, hit-and-run attacks, and decoy tactics, turning the asteroid belt into their classroom. Every crew member learned to anticipate problems and respond instantly. During one test, a small miscalculation caused a hull section to buckle. Sparks flew and alarms blared. The crew scrambled, working together to stabilize it. Rhea watched, analyzing their responses. It was not a failure, it was training. In real battle, mistakes could cost lives. Finally, the day came. Scouts reported the warlord's fleet approaching. Hundreds of ships, larger, faster, and more technologically advanced than anything the crew had seen. The station trembled as the fleet moved into position, cutting off escape routes. The humans were trapped. Rhea gathered her crew on the observation deck. "This is it," she said. "We've trained, adapted, and built a ship from nothing. We face a force that should overwhelm us, but we are human. We innovate. We improvise. We fight together. Today we prove that ingenuity and courage can challenge even the mightiest fleet." The warship's engines hummed as it moved into position, shields glowing faintly in the starlight. Its patchwork design belied its power. The crew had learned to trust the ship as much as each other. The warlord's fleet opened fire. Massive energy beams tore through the asteroid field, shattering rocks and sending debris flying. The humans dodged, weaving through the rubble with precision. Rhea's commands were clear and fast. "Shields full! Evasive patterns alpha. Turrets ready!" The hybrid weapons, powered by both human ingenuity and alien technology, fired in rapid succession. Plasma bolts, energy pulses, and improvised railguns struck the enemy ship's weak points. Small vessels were disabled or destroyed, while the larger cruisers struggled to adjust to the unpredictable tactics. Jax led a squadron of fighters in hit-and-run attacks, drawing enemy fire and creating openings for the main ship. They used the asteroid field as cover, disappearing and reappearing like ghosts. The warlord's fleet, despite its power, could not anticipate the creativity of the humans. Amid the chaos, Tira activated an experimental system, a network of decoy drones built from scrap. The drones emitted holographic signatures of the warship, confusing the enemy fleet. Multiple enemy ships targeted the decoys, wasting valuable firepower while the real ship maneuvered into position. The largest enemy cruiser advanced, its massive weapons aiming for the human ship. Rhea's eyes narrowed. "Focus fire on their engines. Use the drones as cover. We need to disable their mobility first." The hybrid cannons unleashed a concentrated barrage. Sparks and explosions erupted across the cruiser's hull. Its engines sputtered and the ship began to drift. The crew cheered, but Rhea reminded them of caution. "Stay focused. This is not over." The battle raged for hours. The humans were tested like never before. Systems failed, hulls cracked, and energy reserves ran low. Yet every challenge was met with ingenuity. Hydraulic armor shifted to absorb impacts. Emergency power rerouted to weapons. Pilots used asteroid shadows to evade fire. The partially completed warship, though imperfect, became a force the enemy could not predict. During a critical moment, a small group of enemy ships attempted to flank the human vessel. Rhea made a split-second decision. Divert all power to the forward shields. Prepare boarding drones. We lure them in. The plan worked. The enemy ships collided with decoy drones, then faced a barrage of improvised weapons. Boarding drones, small and fast, disabled systems on the enemy vessels, leaving them vulnerable to energy fire. By nightfall, the warlord's fleet was in disarray. Ships had been destroyed, engines crippled, and formations broken. The humans, though exhausted, had turned the tide through strategy, creativity, and teamwork. Rhea allowed herself a moment of pride. "This ship is not just metal and circuits," she said. "It is proof of what humans can achieve. Courage, intelligence, and cooperation are weapons stronger than any fleet." The warlord, witnessing the unexpected defeat, retreated. His fleet limped away, battered and humiliated. The humans had survived against impossible odds. Vierex Station remained standing, its defenders stronger and wiser than before. The crew gathered once again, exhausted but exhilarated. Tira laughed, wiping sweat from her brow. "We did it. Against the galaxy's strongest fleet, we survived. And we didn't just survive, we fought back." Kel nodded. "We've proven something today. Not just about the ship, but about us. We can face anything if we work together and think differently." Jax leaned against the control panel, grinning. "The galaxy won't forget this. They'll hear of the scrap-built ship that defeated a warlord's fleet." Rhea smiled, her eyes on the stars. "Let them come. We will be ready. This ship and this crew are more than just survivors. We are innovators, fighters, and pioneers. The galaxy has underestimated us for too long." The partially completed warship had become legendary in its own time, not because it was perfect, but because it was human. Each flaw, each patch, each improvisation told a story of courage, intelligence, and teamwork. The galaxy had seen a new kind of power, one built not on size or wealth, but on the unyielding spirit of those who refused to accept limits. As the crew returned to their work, repairing damage and improving systems, Rhea knew that the warlord's retreat was only temporary. Bigger challenges awaited and even greater ingenuity would be required. But the humans of Vierex Station were ready. They had proven that they could take scraps, broken parts, and forgotten technology, and turn them into a force that no one could ignore. The galaxy had a new legend, born from the courage and creativity of humans who refused to bow, and from the depths of an asteroid field, a warship forged from scrap and imagination awaited the next battle, a battle that would test not just metal and energy, but the very heart of human ingenuity. Rhea stood on the observation deck watching the stars. "We are not finished," she whispered. "The galaxy will come for us, but when it does, we will meet it head-on, and we will show them what humans can do." The crew, tired but unwavering, returned to their stations. The warship, imperfect but formidable, hummed with life, and in the silence of space a promise echoed. Even from the smallest scraps, humans could build greatness, and no force in the galaxy could ignore it. The galaxy was watching. News of the scrap-built warship of Vierex Station had spread through whispers, transmissions, and fearful reports. Stories spoke of a vessel built from discarded metal and broken engines, yet capable of defeating pirates and warlord fleets with ingenuity alone. Legends travel fast, and now a coalition of rival forces had gathered, determined to destroy the human crew and claim their creation. Captain Rhea Torren stood on the observation deck of the warship, her eyes fixed on the stars. The ship had been fully completed, a hybrid masterpiece of human and alien engineering. Hull panels overlapped like scales. Engines thrummed with alien energy and weapons lined every surface. It was powerful, unpredictable, and alive with potential. "Scanners show incoming fleet," said Tira, her voice tense but steady. "At least 30 vessels. Heavy cruisers, destroyers, and attack squadrons. They mean business," Rhea nodded. "Then we give them a fight they will never forget." Everyone to stations. Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves, we're proving that humans can achieve the impossible. The crew moved with practiced precision. Systems hummed as engines powered up, shields flared into brilliant blue arcs, and turrets swiveled, ready for action. The ship was no longer a mere collection of scrap. It was a living testament to human ingenuity. As the enemy fleet approached, Rhea studied their formation. They expect a frontal assault. They will attack in waves. We will outthink them. Jax, take the fighters and flank left. Tira, focus on shielding and energy weapons. Kel, prepare the hull for dynamic reinforcement. The first shots rang out. Massive energy beams tore through the asteroid field, sending debris spinning into space. The warship dodged with agile maneuvers, weaving through rocks that seemed to bend around its hull. The enemy underestimated the vessel's capabilities. Its combination of speed, firepower, and unpredictability made it nearly untouchable. Rhea issued commands rapidly, adjusting strategies in real time. Divide their formation. Use decoy drones to draw fire. Target their engines first. Disable mobility before destruction. Experimental plasma cannons fired in perfect synchronization with improvised railguns. Enemy ships exploded or spun helplessly in space, unable to respond to the humans' inventive tactics. Each strike was precise, exploiting weaknesses that only careful observation and creativity could detect. Jax and his squadron darted through gaps in the asteroid field, striking at smaller vessels and disappearing before they could be countered. Pilots who had once been miners now performed maneuvers that rivaled the best in the galaxy. Their courage and skill had grown alongside the warship, yet the battle was not without peril. The largest enemy cruiser, heavily armored and heavily armed, advanced toward the human ship. Its weapons glowed with destructive intent. The warship shuddered as energy blasts struck the hull, sparks flying across the surface. Hull integrity dropping. Kel shouted. "We can't take too many more hits." Rhea's eyes narrowed. "Then we make every hit count. Divert auxiliary power to shields. Focus all weapons on their engines. This ends now." The hybrid weapon systems, perfected over months of innovation, unleashed a storm of firepower. Plasma bolts struck the cruiser's weak points. Railgun rounds punctured critical systems. The cruiser faltered, its massive engines sputtering. With a final barrage, it spun uncontrollably into the asteroid field, colliding with debris and exploding in a spectacular display. The remaining enemy ships faltered at the sight. The scrap-built warship, though patched, imperfect, and unpredictable, had proven itself stronger than conventional fleets. Fear spread among the enemy crews. Their confidence shattered and many began retreating. The humans of Vierex Station did not relent. They pressed forward, using every tactic, every system, and every ounce of ingenuity to ensure victory. Boarding drones disabled weapons, decoy holograms created confusion, and dynamic armor adjustments absorbed impacts. The warship moved like a single living being, every part coordinated, every crew member working as one. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. The enemy fleet, once confident, was now in ruins. One by one, ships fell or fled. The galaxy had witnessed something unprecedented. A vessel born from scraps defeating fleets built with wealth, power, and conventional strategy. When the final enemy ship retreated into the darkness, silence fell over the battlefield. The crew of the warship stood together, exhausted but triumphant. Tira wiped her hands on her uniform and smiled. "We did it. Against everything they threw at us, we survived. And more than that, we won." Rhea looked at the stars, breathing deeply. This ship is not just a weapon. It is proof. Proof that humans can create the impossible, overcome impossible odds, and turn what the galaxy sees as worthless into greatness. "We have changed the way the galaxy will see us," Kel nodded. "The ship, it's more than metal. It's a symbol. Every piece tells a story of courage, intelligence, and teamwork." Jax grinned. "I don't think anyone will underestimate humans again." Rhea smiled faintly, her gaze on the horizon. "Let them come. The galaxy will always have threats. But now we are ready. We are stronger, smarter, and united. And this ship, our creation, will defend us and inspire others." The news of the battle spread across star systems. Colonies, traders, and independent fleets heard tales of the scrap-built warship and the humans who had mastered it. Stories spoke of courage, ingenuity, and determination. Vierex Station became a symbol, a beacon of hope for those oppressed by stronger powers. In the following days, the crew repaired damage and improved the ship further. They salvaged additional materials, upgraded experimental weapons, and strengthened engines. Every lesson from the battle became a new improvement. Even small tweaks inspired by human intuition and creativity made the ship more formidable than ever. Rhea walked through the ship, speaking to her crew. Remember this moment. Remember what we have done. This is more than survival. It is proof that humans can rise from nothing and challenge the strongest forces in the galaxy. Each of you has been part of something extraordinary. Tira smiled. We've turned scraps into a legend. Yes, Rhea said softly, and the legend is only beginning. As the days passed, more ships arrived at Vierex Station, not to attack, but to ally. Colonists, traders, and independent fleets were inspired by the human crew's courage. They brought knowledge, materials, and skills, wanting to learn from those who had accomplished what no one believed possible. The warship became a hub of innovation. New systems were tested, experimental technologies were integrated, and humans and allies worked together to push the boundaries of science and strategy. Rhea watched as the ship, once a mere dream, now stood as the galaxy's most feared and respected vessel. It was no longer just a defense mechanism. It was a statement. Even from the smallest scraps, humans could build greatness. And in that greatness, the galaxy saw a new kind of power. Not the power of numbers or wealth, but the power of courage, creativity, and unyielding determination. The warship would defend Vierex Station and the humans who had built it. It would protect the weak, inspire the oppressed, and remind the powerful that ingenuity and heart could never be ignored. At the observation deck, Rhea stood once more, staring into the stars. She remembered the first day she had seen the broken alien cruiser drifting in the debris field, lifeless and abandoned. She had seen potential where others saw nothing. And now, months later, the galaxy had witnessed the result. We built more than a ship, she whispered. We built a legacy, and the universe will never forget it. The crew gathered around her, united and proud. They had started with scraps, with challenges that seemed insurmountable. They had faced pirates, warlords, and impossible odds. Yet through ingenuity, courage, and teamwork, they had created something extraordinary. The warship thrummed with life, a combination of human skill, alien technology, and the spirit of those who refused to give up. Its reputation spread far and wide. From the edges of star systems to the central core of the galaxy, whispers of its power traveled. Traders, explorers, and even rival fleets spoke of the humans who had forged a legend from nothing. Rhea smiled. The galaxy had tested them, and they had prevailed. The scrap-built warship, once a dream, was now the most feared and respected vessel in the stars. And its crew, ordinary humans who had refused to accept limits, had proven that even the smallest spark of imagination could ignite greatness. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, full of challenges, adventures, and unknown threats. But the humans of Vierex Station were ready. Together with their ingenuity, courage, and the ship they had built, they would face whatever came next, and so, from the debris of forgotten battles, from scraps and discarded dreams, rose a force the galaxy could never ignore. A warship of legend, a crew of pioneers, and a message for all. Humanity could achieve the impossible, and even from nothing, greatness could be forged. The legacy of scrap had begun,